Hey everybody, it's me, Lizzie. So today's video is going to be a little different. I feel personally like it's kind of a long time coming. I didn't actually know if I was going to make this, but certain developments have been happening, and as you know, like there's been a lot of drama going on. I am kind of personally involved in the situation, so I felt like I really needed to film this video and get my thoughts out on the situation. Very recently, Mr. Wickham uploaded his video exposing Mr. Darcy, alleging all sorts of claims and just like a lot of like truly horrible things. And I've just been really needing to feel out the situation and kind of parse out what my personal feelings are. I felt like I needed to insert my voice into the situation because whether I like it or not, I do kind of have some personal stake in this whole situation. So like full disclosure, I did know that the video was going up before it did. I know Mr. Wickham personally. We've known each other for a little while. I wouldn't say we're like best friends, but we do know each other. I do like him. We are friendly. So if you don't know what's going on, Mr. Darcy is this very prominent influencer. He makes like game reviews or something. I don't really watch his content. He's a very popular YouTuber. He gets like 10,000 subscribers a month. To compare, like my dad only gets about 2,000. I just want to give my personal background with Mr. Darcy. For the longest time, like he was just kind of like, you know, Mr. Darcy, online personality. We don't really make the similar content, so we don't really run in the same spheres. But I'd always kind of heard, you know, like rumblings about him. And a lot of you may not know this if you're from the city. Mr. Darcy doesn't really have a very positive reputation in the country, at least not in Meriton, at least not in my circles, you know what I mean? And that's earnestly just, and I'm not trying to be shady, but that's earnestly because he's very rude. He's just impolite, you know? I'm sorry, like you ask anybody around here, they will say the same. I knew that he was like best friends with Mr. Bingley, and that I'd seen Mr. Bingley's content and, you know, I really enjoyed that. And I think that's kind of what most people thought about when they thought about Darcy. And I kind of heard little rumblings about how he just like wasn't that nice, and it was kind of weird that he was friends with such a nice guy, Mr. Bingley. But I didn't really think a whole lot about it, you know what I mean? So I actually met Darcy in person at a ball. If you invite him to your ball, like he's just gonna like kind of linger around the room eating. If you ask him a direct question, he'll like barely answer you, if he answers you at all. He won't dance, even if there's plenty of young ladies who don't have a dance partner, like he won't offer to dance with them. Like, I was just kind of sitting down, minding my own business. Behind me, it was Mr. Darcy and one of his friends, and the friend was saying something like, "Oh, yo, Darcy, there's so many hot babes in this party, right?" And this guy pointed at me. I kind of saw it out of the corner of my eye. He was pointing at me and talking about me. And he said, "Well, what about her? That's, you know, that Lizzie Bennet. She's kind of a snack." And he looked over at me and was sitting so close that I could very clearly hear him say, "She's tolerable." Okay, and obviously this is very petty. Like, I'm not trying to say that like this one little instance of him being kind of, you know, rude at a party means that he's like this awful toxic person. But like this was the immediate impression that I got of him. So that's where I'm coming into this situation, from that angle, from that impression. That's where I'm at. A little while later, like maybe a week or so later, I met Mr. Wickham for the first time at another function. I'd seen his like story time videos where he talked about being in the military, but I hadn't really looked at any of his like beauty content. But I knew who he was, and I was really pleasantly surprised to see that he was actually like a really nice guy in real life. Me and Mr. Wickham were just kind of chatting about this and that. The topic sort of shifted gradually, very naturally, to be about Mr. Darcy. You know, right then and there, we decided to take tea, you know? Just today, when I decided to make this video, I saw that Mr. Wickham has taken down his video. But I've already made my notes, and I think we've all already seen it, and all the drama channels have reported it, so we all know what was in it. But I'm just gonna kind of go through, because pretty much all the stuff that he mentioned in that video was also stuff that he said to me. He mentioned in the video that he had receipts, but he couldn't show them, and he told me that as well. I personally choose to believe him. I think that he was speaking his truth. He said something in the video that he also said to me about feeling so lost in this community. And I really related to that. And I felt that like in making this video, it was really my duty to kind of show some of my own receipts and kind of help back some of his claims, because I do believe what he's saying. So Mr. Wickham was very honest, both to me and in his video, that he did not have a very easy go of it when he was a child. His parents died very young, and he was taken in by Mr. Darcy's father. You know, people share everything in this social media age, and I think both me and a lot of other people online, to us this came as like such a surprise, because like Darcy never talks about it. We all know that Mr. Darcy has a sister, but it's weird to think that Darcy just had this like adopted brother that like nobody talks about. And that seemed kind of weird and shady on Darcy's part, that he's been hiding that. When Mr. Darcy's father died, he left a certain amount of money to Mr. Wickham, and Mr. Wickham never got that money. He just never got it, because when Mr. Darcy inherited the estate, he, I guess, contested the will or something, and he prevented that money from going to his adopted brother. And so to this day, Mr. Wickham has never seen any of that money. I'm not sure how much money that was supposed to be. I think it was like £3,000 or something. I don't remember. Now, when Mr. Wickham told me this personally, I was very shocked. Like, even I was shocked. This was like a week after being called tolerable by the man. Like, I knew that he was rude, that he was uncouth, that he just didn't have very good manners. But like, I never thought like he would do something this awful, you know? Like, Mr. Wickham's basically his brother. They grew up together. Like, everybody knows that Mr. Darcy has a sister. She also has like a Twitter account, and she's always talking about like, oh my god, Fitzwilliam, the best bro ever, so supportive, I love you, bro. And it's so sad that he apparently seems like he's such a great brother to her. Also, another thing, Mr. Wickham never said this in his video, but when we spoke, he did make kind of some oblique references to Georgiana maybe having similar toxic tendencies. I mean, that would explain a lot. I'm not trying to start beef with a girl that age, like, I don't know, but like, is my bonnet crooked? So after this video dropped, Mr. Darcy has been largely very silent on the subject. You know, I guess he's just kind of ignoring it, hoping it would go away. And I noticed that it seemed to be kind of just being swept under the rug. So I've noticed the conversation starting to kind of die down. That's kind of one of the reasons why I wanted to make this video. I want to talk next a little bit about the Bingley situation. Mr. Bingley, he's Darcy's best friend. They're constantly showing up on my feed together these days, doing challenge videos together, traveling together. Like, it's a whole thing. Anyways, you guys remember my sister Jane, right? Around the same time I met Darcy, actually, it was at the same exact party. She met Mr. Bingley. And Mr. Bingley, he's a really nice guy. He's genuinely like a really sweet guy. I've met him. He and Jane really kind of hit it off. They did so many dances together. They took walks. I'll bet, and she'll deny it, but I'll bet Jane did that thing where she like cut off her hair and gave it to him. She's such a fucking slut, just like my sister Lydia. So they were dating for like, you know, maybe a week or two, and everybody, including me, thought, well, he's definitely gonna propose, right? And then just out of nowhere, he went back to London and just like ghosted her. Then she even went to London and to visit our aunt and uncle, and he totally didn't even call on her the entire time she was there, and he was in town. It was just like really weird, very sudden. She's really upset. She really wanted to marry him, particularly since, you know, our father's getting old, and if he dies, none of his money is going to go to any of us because we're women, and so we're going to live in poverty if we don't get husbands. You know, like, this stuff happens. I didn't really think that much about it, you know, like, oh, I guess Mr. Bingley wasn't really that into her. But then a little bit later, I got this DM on my Twitter from this guy who was Darcy's cousin, and he sent me these screenshots of an Insta story that Mr. Darcy had put up. Hey, if your best friend were about to marry someone who wasn't right for them, and though she received his attentions with pleasure, she did not invite them by any participation of sentiment, would you say something? And it was very clear he was talking about Jane and Mr. Bingley. So now it became clear to me that Mr. Darcy did not think that my sister was being like affectionate enough in their relationship, so he told his friend not to marry her. Like, everybody could tell, like, it was about Jane. I really earnestly do not know how Mr. Bingley came to be friends with such a like toxic, manipulative person. And like, I want to emphasize, like, I've met Mr. Bingley, and he's like the nicest guy you've ever met. And like, if you ask me, do I think that Mr. Bingley knows just how toxic Darcy is? No, personally, I don't. I think he totally does not know. And I think this is the fact that he has managed to become such a close friend to someone genuinely as nice and sweet and compassionate as Mr. Bingley shows just how manipulative he can be. So not only has Mr. Darcy's behavior affected Mr. Wickham, who's like, you know, a friend of mine, I would say, it's personally affected my life and my sister's. So that's one of the another reason why I wanted to make this video. So finally, here's the thing. Mr. Darcy recently, like within the last couple days, DM'd me this like long rambling message asking to collab with me. I was super surprised because this whole time apparently he's been a subscriber and I just didn't know. He started off by going like on and on about how my content wasn't as good as it could be, and how by collaborating with me, by me collaborating with him, he'd be like doing me this big favor. I know that Mr. Darcy, I know that all of these issues have for the most part occurred in private. And I think that might be one of the reasons why nobody has called you out on your behavior. And even though you opened that question in private, I think I have to make it public. This is therapeutic for me. I don't think I'm gonna regret it. So I just wanna say, Mr. Darcy, no. You know, like, I don't know why you chose to ask to collab with so evident a design to offend me and insult me. I don't want to be friends with you. I don't want to know you. I don't want you in my life. I have every reason in the world to think ill of you. What you did to my brand new best friend, Mr. Wickham, absolutely unacceptable. And you have ruined, perhaps forever, the happiness of a most beloved sister. Like, no, absolutely not. I know that you think I'm just this small creator who's just gonna jump at the opportunity just because I happen to be one of 4 daughters. How many sisters do I have? Just because I'm one of 5 daughters and I legally can't inherit estates or money. And just so you know, could have inherited my father's entail if I had chosen to accept the proposal from my odious cousin, Mr. Collins, which I didn't want to take. So Mr. Darcy, like, do not speak to me. If you go to a ball and I'm there and we have to dance together, like, don't try to talk to me. I know. And I think that's really all I have to say. Please everyone stop harassing Mr. Wickham, and please do not go after Mr. Bingley. I really think that he has been victimized almost as much as me and my sisters. I think that I've said everything that I need to say, and I don't see my opinion changing anytime soon. So thank you everyone for watching. I'll see you all next time. Okay.